Good morning, everybody. I'm absolutely honored to be here again. Yes, Lindsey, special educator, specifically for children who are in the early childhood ages. Specialized now in deaf and hard of hearing children and working with the 0 to 3 population, our youngest kids that we're talking about today when we talk about centering our communities on children and youth. So let's see, I'm absolutely honored to represent all 4, in some ways, agencies who work within Pierce County doing this really important birth to 3 work alongside of our partners at Pierce County, ECSE, and DCYF. Let's see. Eligible children are supported at our agency by providing plans that we build in cooperation with their parents. These young children we work with, they can't tell us what they need. They can't tell us what they want. They can't tell us what considerations for inclusivity will make their quality of life improve. So we work in partnership with the people around them, all of their vested caregivers. I'm also proud to speak on behalf of the child within me, a proud speech therapy graduate myself as a child, and also on behalf of my 2 daughters, both of which who were in program at A Step Ahead and graduates for their own reasons, working on different developmental skills. This topic is absolutely near and dear to my heart. It's always been something that I knew since high school, that I was gonna find myself here supporting these young children. So let's start our conversation about inclusion by envisioning my slide. On my slide, you'll see a child. So imagine this child. You see this child at a park. They're holding some rocks. They're sitting beneath the playset, perhaps. They don't respond when the caregiver calls their name, and they don't look at any of the children who are running around the park around them. What does this child need to feel included? Does anybody know off the top of your head? You might have some ideas. You might even have some questions to try to figure it out. Both great responses. You might also be sitting there thinking to yourself, I have no idea. And that's a really needed acknowledgement. The honest answer, we really can't be certain. Our youngest children can't exactly tell us that, but their families and partners can. Perhaps this child already feels included, and they just are on their way to becoming a geologist. Perhaps this child is experiencing a trauma-based or some other sort of attachment disorder. Maybe a motor or speech delay, perhaps a sensory or neurotypical diagnosis. Maybe even a vision or hearing difference, a developmental or a cognitive delay, maybe a few of those things, maybe even all of those things. So no matter what the delay, the difference, the disability, the diagnosis, inclusion is not one size fits all. So today what you'll find is I have no slides, there's no template, there's no perfect fit. Really, it takes an evaluation of the larger holistic picture. So at A Step Ahead and other birth to 3 programs, we have to make sure when we do an evaluation that we look at every area of a child's development, not just the ones that they came to us with a specific concern about. And that's because we know for our children and youth, it's all related. So for these children, development, but also what does stability look like at home? What does shelter look like? What does consistent caregiving look like? So we really need to broaden our definition of inclusion, not just the things that come to mind readily that we see day to day. So where do we begin in joining Green Trike on this journey, really, to creating child and youth-centered communities? Really, it begins with reflection, and most of us here probably do that with our agencies, within ourselves. In early support services, we have reflective supervision monthly to help us improve, to help us structurally, routinely implement changes. Having an open heart, having an open mind is really the first step in order to learn from yourself. Examine those past experiences of exclusion or isolation. Think about the tangibles and the intangibles. Think of thoughts, feelings, and needs associated with those experiences. Next, there's growth. Our reflection, in order to grow, never stops, and neither do our efforts for inclusion. Another key component in early intervention services is coaching. Coaching's a staple for services in our birth to 3 community because their parents and caregivers are their best teacher, not me, and not the therapists I work alongside. Having a willingness to drive and grow and learn from others, that's what coaching is. So gleaning from examples, building your own toolbox, both explicit and implicit. Think of lessons, morals, and skills you've absorbed over time. Learning is ongoing, and so are these inclusivity efforts that we're talking about today. And most importantly, it's a journey. So it's something we can all get on at our own pace. We can proceed through it at our own pace and acknowledge that we're all in different places. In one word, inclusion is opportunity to connect, to be fully present, to have meaningful experiences, to be seen, loved, and empowered. We're all born needing the same fundamentals, but it seems our youngest children are the only ones who remember that. Seeking all of the same things in life, we all have the same rights from birth. Individuals don't choose to experience differences, delays, disabilities, or diagnosis. Most of those children don't even realize that they are. Some children experience visible or invisible conditions, and it affects every child, every caregiver, every family, and community differently. Step Ahead does beautiful intakes where we do family and routines-based assessment to be sure that our services fully wrap around that child's life to have the greatest impact with our services. We never learn things that we need to know about inclusivity without dialogue. So we need to ensure that promoting each person's access, participation, and sense of belonging is happening. We have to innovate opportunities. Many people have talked about that here today. They have to be intentional. It starts with those common concepts of inclusion that we're all used to: transportation, ramps, sidewalks, elevators, lifts. Don't forget the maintenance of those things as well. Language, like closed captioning, interpreters, translations, Braille. Also basic needs: food and diaper banks, childcare, financial assistance, care assistance. And also these diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts by inviting people into the conversation and bringing our efforts to the local community. Many of us are here in Tacoma today, so I know you've all heard of Tacoma. And who's heard of Puyallup? Of course, many of you. But who's been to Ashford? And who put on a play group there or brought your organization there, not just to visit the mountain? Right? There's some disparities in Pierce County as far as we're gigantic. And we have children in all the different areas, from city to rural. And it extends beyond all those basics to play, connection, learning, sensory, capacity building, informed consent for adults and children in your programs, security, and authenticity. In early intervention, that's framed through natural environments, following the child's lead, and just acknowledging where the family's really at in their journey with having a child with a disability or a developmental delay. So take the extra time to integrate innovation from the ground up. If we do it from the ground up, beautiful things come of it. It was mentioned earlier today that when we do this for a group, it really benefits the all. Think of texting. How many people here text? Everyone, probably. So texting started as an inclusivity effort for people who are deaf and hard of hearing. And now it is widely used, widely beneficial to the masses. So inclusion that's incorporated, it definitely brings improvement to this entire community, especially the children and youth of Pierce County. So here it is. What's the call to action? Have the conversation. You're here. You've already begun. So we keep going by bringing in required participants, bringing in stakeholders internally, externally, making sure we represent the community we serve, and also that the community is represented within conversations. The basics of inclusive language, avoiding assumptions, getting creative, asking for help, reflecting, and growing. And we'll know we've succeeded when implementation of inclusion becomes routine within your organization and our conversations. It takes flexibility and adaptability. You'll feel that diversity and equity shift alongside inclusion when you can offer this in your day-to-day conversation. So get with the right partners, Green Trike, Pierce County, including the Interagency Coordinating Council. where our collective energies can bring us forward, because it will take a community to raise a child, and it will take us as a community to bring Pierce County, Tacoma, Puyallup, and yes, even Ashford, into the space where it's child-centered. So if I were to ask you to leave with one thing today, I would ask that you leave thinking of the child in that picture. And remember, we can't know exactly what that child needs without some dialogue. My eldest daughter, by the way. So think of her, and think of this example, who I borrowed from a beloved colleague, and really bring inclusion to the forefront. Think broader, and if anything, just get started. Join us, join the conversation. Thank you to Green Trike for having me today.